there and welcome to AutumnAfar. Thank you so much for joining me and welcome back to those of you who have joined me before. As always, any links that I have used for this are going to be down in the description box, and I invite you to do your own research and form your own opinion. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about why I do not travel with my pets. I have, as of recording this, a dog and 2 chinchillas, and I could not imagine ever bringing any of them on a trip with me. This is specifically for pets that are not service animals. That is a completely different arena and is not what I'm going to be talking about today. This is specifically for people who travel with their pets just because they don't want to leave them at home. My dog is pretty big. She's a German Shepherd mix, and if I were to bring her anywhere on a plane, she would have to go into the cargo hold in a cage, and that makes me really sad. We don't put her in a cage at home. She kind of just has free range of the house. I cannot imagine putting her in a crate, sending her off, and having her loaded into the bottom of a plane. She would absolutely freak out, and there is no way I would ever do that to my dog. I would much rather have her at home with family or friends who can care for her, or even at worst case to leave her at some kind of doggy daycare, because there is no way I would ever consider putting her underneath in the cargo hold. It would not happen. She hasn't been in a cage since she was toilet trained. I would probably spend the entire flight worrying about her. As you can tell, this would not work for my dog. When I was a travel agent, we would very often get people who would call and want to request the cargo for their pets, and the amounts people were willing to pay was mind-boggling. They would pay anywhere from $50 to $120 depending on the flight and the route and the airline, and I've seen some airlines charging upwards of $200 per direction for each flight, and it's completely non-refundable. Depending on where you're from or where you're going, you may also have to quarantine your pet, and you wouldn't have access to them for a week or more, on top of having to prove that they've got all their shots and that they are not a dangerous animal, whatever that might mean. So I just cannot imagine doing that to my dog. So another thing that is really prohibitive for me is that once you have figured out that you want to bring your pet and you've arranged for them to travel whatever way, you also have to figure out a place that you're going to stay. If you have an apartment, that's great. Not all apartments, at least where I live, accept dogs or cats or other animals. So you would need to find somewhere that would accept taking a pet in with you, and you'll also need a place for them to do their business, sleep, eat. You'll also need to bring or buy food, bowls, seatbelts, harnesses, muzzles, depending on what laws exist in that area. And there are so many other factors involved. And I know a lot of people say, oh, well, my dog is very small or my cat is small and I can bring them on my lap. I don't trust that either. A lot of animals don't travel well, and I can't imagine bringing a pet with me, and I also can't imagine, even if it was long term, having to worry constantly about my pet and having to make sure that they got their vet checkup and all kinds of stuff like that. I just would not do it personally. You also run the risk of potentially not being allowed to enter certain areas. Some national parks don't allow pets. And obviously you do not leave your pet in the car, ever. There are some places where the laws are a little bit more strict than others, but do not leave your pets in cars, please. And if they are permitted, many times there are fees charged as well. to help keep the parks clean. You also need to make sure that they will be adequately cared for. You know, not being out in the sun, not being left without food or water, making sure that they're not getting overheated, things like that, things that we don't normally take into consideration when we're home with our pets. And you also need to make sure that they are going to be adequately entertained, because believe it or not, pets get a little bit rambunctious when they're trapped inside, especially if they're going to be in a car for long periods. Anything you do with your pet, you have to consider on top of all the stuff that you want to do, whether it's traveling to national parks or beaches or anything of that nature. And for me, the idea of leaving her at home and knowing she would be just as, if not more, comfortable with my family is something that no incredible Instagram picture will ever compare to. And if you still really want to take your pet with you, but make it a little bit easier on yourself, a few years ago for Mother's Day, I got my mom this lovely little gift. It's a not really a stuffed animal. I think it's made from llama hair or something along those lines. And it's that you send in photos and they make your dog or your cat, and you can bring it with you. There are a lot more companies now. If I can find it, I will put the link in the company below so you can check them out. They haven't sponsored this video, obviously, but I really love it. My mom really loves it, and it's a really great gift for anybody who really loves their pets. And I just thought it was a really, really cute idea, so that you can have your pet with you wherever you go and not have to clean up after them. Thank you again so much for joining me today. If you have any suggestions for future videos or questions about today's video, drop a comment down below. You can also connect with me on all social media as @AutumnAfar. And I wanted to leave you with one of my favorite quotes, since it is probably the only opportunity I will get to use it, since it is about cats. To judge a place, look at its stray cats. If the cats are bold, friendly, relaxed, you know it's a good village with good people. Take care. See you next time.